What an absolute cracker of a game. Absolutely buzzing. I'm so glad I watched that. And I'll tell you now, Brazil are a force to be reckoned with. Right now, I think they are going to win the World Cup purely, not just off that performance, but going into this tournament, they were one of the favourites anyway, and I tipped them to win the tournament. But after that performance alone, everything aside, what a game. They are going to win the World Cup, in my opinion. Neymar looked good. Richarlison looked good. Everyone in that team, Casemiro, Marquinhos, Paqueta, Rafinha, Vinicius Junior, it's ridiculous. This team is stacked, but what a performance. And let's just say, by the way, hats off to Richarlison. What a wonder goal that is. That could be Puskas worthy. But where do I start? This is my match reaction to the Brazil 2-0 win against Serbia. Before we do get into this video, please do smash the like button and do subscribe. But I want to start off and just say what a performance from this Brazilian team. And there was one question when you saw this starting 11 and you saw how they'd got three wingers on the pitch. Not only that, they've got an attacking midfielder playing in the middle with Casemiro. You thought, okay, this is a very attack-minded squad. Could they get hit on the break? And to be honest, Serbia, as much as they defended well, they never really offered anything. 0 shots on target in that entire game for Serbia. But that was mainly down to the fact that I think Brazil nullified them. I think it actually really worked. You looked at it, Alexandro and Danilo, when the ball went forward, they didn't overlap down those sides. They came across and came in, inverted fullbacks. We've seen Man City do it, we've seen Arsenal do it. And they come across to either operate as centre-backs or as holding midfielders. And that provided a bit more of a cushion and a bit of a barrier or a block, you may put it as, for the defence to not allow the Serbian players to get onto them. And that then allowed the players like Paqueta, Rafinha, Neymar, Vinicius Junior, Richarlison to all just go forward and attack. Neymar, by the way, went off injured. That could be huge, because if I'm honest, I didn't think he had a good game, but he had a bad game, not in his eyes. I still think 3 key passes, he created chances, and he had a few shots, but nothing really where I thought, wow. But you could see he was ready to get going. I thought the player that I really thought was amazing in that game, Vinicius Junior, by the way, every time he got the ball, he beat his man. Just by pure pace a lot of the time. It wasn't even skill half the time. He literally just bombs on forward and beats his man every time. But I thought he had a really good game. Casemiro, a player that I've said in previous videos and in previous games, I'm not sure how he does, how he suits this Brazilian team if he's sat on his own, but today he was absolutely sensational. So I'm going to put my hands up and say I got it wrong. He works so well on his own. Just literally, he operated in this kind of box. He could split the pitch down into six parts, and he just operated in front of just inside his own half or on the halfway line, and just literally just broke up play, going backwards and forwards. Every time a counter happened, bang, Casemiro was there, mopping up play and moving it on to better players. Marquinhos and Thiago Silva, I don't even need to discuss them. Absolutely sensational, so good. Danilo, Alexandro coming in, playing as those inverted fullbacks really worked well, because Danilo, we've seen him at times, can sometimes have a little mistake in him, but today I thought he was really good down that right-hand side. Paqueta, I thought had a good game. I know he obviously he's not as exciting as some of the other players, and he's not your household name when you talk about your Neymars, your Richarlisons, your Rafinhas, your Vinicius Juniors. But I still think he had a good game. I thought, again, he moved it on well. He gave away the ball a couple of times, but overall I thought he had a good game. Rafinha, I thought he had a great game. I thought he did really well down that side, but he should have got himself a hat-trick tonight. Had so many chances. That one when the keeper was trying to play out from the back. Not only that, a couple of times when he was one-on-one. He just lacked that cutting edge, that final product. That's, to be honest. But other than that, I'm just nitpicking now, but that is a great performance. Richarlison, by the way, now we can talk about him. His goal scoring record for Brazil is absolutely ridiculous. Played 80 minutes and he scored 2 goals today. His XG was 0.94. That just shows you how good a game he had. And he only had 25 touches. It just shows you he's a bagsman. He's a poacher. And he took that second goal so well, honestly. Absolutely unreal. Won his ground duels, won his aerial duels. I just thought he had a really good game. And now I want to move on to Serbia, give them a bit of talk, because we've just spoken about Brazil for 4.5 minutes. I'm a little bit disappointed in them, purely down to the fact they've got someone like Mitrovic in the side. And when you've got a player like Mitrovic, you need to utilise his strengths. Not once did they really put the ball in and try and test that defence, because we've seen Mitrovic bully defenders before, and we've seen Thiago Silva struggle against the larger striker. We've seen it in the past, Marquinhos as well. They're not the largest at centre back, so surely Mitrovic should have stuck it on them. But Serbia were reluctant to do that, ever really whip the ball in and try and create a chance like that. They tried to play some nice football. Yes, it's all good when you've got players like Milenkovic, Savic and Tadic playing some really nice football, but I don't know. I expect a little bit more, maybe just to try and really test them on the counter. And there was a couple of times where they tried to counter and it was just slow and lethargic. But with this Brazil side, and I spoke about it earlier on in the video, with them going on so far forward, you've got to hit them hard and fast, because I do think Brazil could be open and could get beaten on the counter against another side, maybe a better side, purely because they do look quite vulnerable. But yes, Casemiro today swept up well. But if they really had tried and tested, maybe they'd have found space. But I want to say, by the way, Milinkovic at the back, I thought had a really good game down that right-hand side in that back three. In the right-hand side of the centre-back, I thought he covered Vinicius Junior quite well, because a couple of times he had to come across and help out. I thought he did really well against Neymar a couple of times. But other than that, Tadic had a good game. He had a tidy game, but didn't really create anything. That's the thing. I was just a bit disappointed, because and it was later on, I think it was about 2 minutes to go. You're 2-0 down, and you've got the ball inside Brazil's half. And you've got Vlahovic on and Mitrovic, the two blokes who are absolute man-mountains, and they were reluctant to put the ball in the box. It's just, I understand it's a style of play and what they're trying to do, but sometimes, I don't know, it's just from my perspective, I'm looking at it, I'm just saying, you've got literally all the facilities to put it in the box. Just try it. You've not tested them at all, but Serbia kept themselves in this game for a good portion of it, and then as soon as Brazil got that first goal in the 60th minute, they just ran riot. And I couldn't believe this. I just seen the stat here: 22 shots in that game, which is absolutely mental. 8 shots on target, and they created chance after chance after chance. And you saw once they got a bit of confidence, they just could not be stopped. And that's the thing. I think once they get going against other sides as well throughout this tournament, now they've got a bit of momentum, because there's a bit of pressure going into this tournament, because they are arguably one of, if not the favourites for the tournament. So fair play to them. Hats off to Brazil. A brilliant performance and a great game of football, and that is what we love. I love watching Brazil play. You think about the iconic players, you think of your Ronaldinhos and players like that, who love the tiki-taki football, the skills and everything. And Brazil have that, but they also, not only do they have the flair, but they've also got like a really nice balance with actual structure, because that's the thing we've seen in previous years where they've kind of gone all out attack and a bit gung-ho, whereas they've got the balance really right with this side. I thought specifically today, I think that inverted fullbacks makes such a difference, because you think about it, they've got 4 at the back in general play, and as soon as they lose the ball, those 2 come in and it creates a block 4, and then you've got Casemiro in front of that. And it's like a little house. That's the way I can describe it if you think of the shape. And that just, it does so well. We've seen Man City do it, we've seen Arsenal do it, and it is a good way of playing if you want players to go on forward. So it's going to be interesting to see how they fare when they play up against a more attacking side, a side that will maybe try and hurt them a little bit more. Because I just feel a little bit disappointed by Serbia. But what a game of football. My man of the match has to be Richarlson. I think it's easy. And shout out to Milinkovic, as I said, and Vinicius Junior. And by the way, it's crazy to think the players that they brought on, by the way, Brazil. Brazil brought on Gabriel Martinelli, Fred, Anthony, Rodrigo, and Gabriel Jesus. Like, it's absolutely mental. Bearing in mind, they had Telles on the bench, Bruno Guimaraes, they had Militao, they had Fabinho. This side is so good, and I loved watching it. But what an absolute brilliant game. Argument, Richarlison, Puskas Award. Wow, what a goal and what a performance. But please do smash the like button and do subscribe for lots more World Cup content coming your way. Thank you for watching. Look at Sam over and out. Thank you. Goodbye.